How did Christian Library get started? When my mother was in her last couple of years, I was taking care of her the last few years that she was alive. Me and my sister next to me. And my mother had her retinas detached one evening. So she woke up totally blind. They did some surgery and they were able to reattach it, but she still lost 3/4 of her sight. So she was unable to read Christian books and the Bible like she had done so often. She was actually our church librarian for decades. And she instilled in me about reading Christian missionaries' stories and things like that. So she was pretty devastated because she couldn't read. So I lined her up with the Library for the Blind, and at the time they were operating with cassette tapes. They had the Bible on tape, and they had a devotional, a real surface level devotional. That's all they had at the time. So she was real distraught. So when she died, I thought to myself, I'm going to go ahead and make cassette tapes for myself so I have the Bible and Christian books on tape. So if I ever lose my sight, I'll be able to have good Christian, mature, meaty books available. Almost 500 chapters later, the Lord told me to put it all up online for others to enjoy. And I was like, Lord, I read some of those things in the bathtub. They're supposed to be for my use. It's not very professional. I don't care when you put them up. So I stuck them up on Sermon Index after getting Greg to agree to it. And then I moved over to Sermon Audio. And then I let Greg take it over to Sermon Audio because I was going over to YouTube with it. So we were trying to avoid the Chinese shutting down the accessibility to these things. While I was on Sermon Audio, I discovered that not only the blind needed it, but also missionaries needed it, and they needed the books chopped up in chapters, and not just put up the entire book, because they had satellite connection, and they lost it a lot, frequently. So, like in Papua New Guinea. So they needed it done in chapters so that if they could get up to like chapter 6, maybe chapter 8, the next time they would try for chapter 7 and chapter 9 and stuff like that. So I did so. I did what they requested. And then I found people that were driving who were they worked a lot, and they needed like 20, 30-minute segments. So I would make 20 and 30-minute segments. We found out that also worked for the missionaries. They could download 20, 30-minute segments easily. So that's how this whole ministry started. Now, I was told when I first started out by a minister in Belleville, Michigan, that I would be lucky to get, like 5,000 people to utilize the service in a year. I'd be really, really lucky. I said, I don't care, as long as I'm doing what God tells me to do, that's all that matters. Well, we saw after the first month, it just exploded. And the minister that was talking to me and helped me along, who also was on Sermon Audio, stopped talking to me about it. I could tell he was getting very envious because his sermons were not doing that good. So I continued to read. And I told the Lord that if you want me to read, you got to give me the first edition of each book that I'm reading. Or at least let me know that I'm reading exactly what the author wrote and not a paraphrase. Because I ran across that in my first years of Christian walk. Gene Edwards had paraphrased Madame Guyon. And when I found out just how much of it he paraphrased, I had to reread it in Madame Guillaume's hand. And I threw away all Jean Edwards' books, them all away, because they were so far from what she wrote and the truth of what she had that I couldn't stand it. And that was my own personal opinion. So I don't do paraphrases, I don't do later editions, because I've learned that people change things. Boy, have I learned it. And you can't trust a computer, upload to be genuine. I found that out with a Bible translation. You can't trust them. They'll say, oh, this is one of the old Bible. No, it's not. Grab the old Bible and compare it. Because I just recently found that out. So that's where this ministry is. It is to bring Christian living. So Christian experiences, books, sermons, things that I find that can help others. It's my Christian duty to help my brothers and sisters in Christ to grow, to help them reach levels in their life, to help protect them, to help them take care of money situations. If you notice in the Bible, there's a lot that Christ talks about money. And that's why I will always share. I will always help out. So that's just what I do. So I've had 12 years now, extra, since they told me I had 6 weeks to live. And I'm still going to keep going. So I have the one cancer in remission. The rest of the cancers are gone. And I thank God that I had the experience to continue on, the opportunity, the experience to know what to do. And I'm not perfect, but I'm trying. So that is how I got started. That's the history behind Christian living. And it used to be called the School of Prayer. That was in the sermon audio. And I changed it to Sermon Library. And then people complain like, well, that's not sermons. What's that doing up here? So I changed it to Christian Library because the library contains everything from gardening to how to save money to A.W. Tozer, sermons, and George Mueller's stories about faith in the Bible. It's lots, just lots. And I wish I'd known about stained glass. Just lamp. One of my earlier purchases. I love it though, I really do. I really do love it. But, God's been very good. And He's allowed me to have this ministry. And it is in every country and every island in the world. And I don't even look at the numbers. I mean, I do look at the numbers here and there, but I don't brag about them anymore. It's not my doing. When God blesses, He blesses. He is in control of everything. So if you got to brag, then it's on your shoulders. If you don't have to brag, you're really truly doing it as well. So God bless you. Just keep me in your prayers that the Lord lets me live another 60 years to continue working for Him. God bless.